Welcome to Experiencing the Chakras Anew podcast series with AliNICOLE, wow, and that is me, and also Brenda, Lynn, and we're excited to bring this series to you, and definitely excited about this particular segment. We typically don't have a core theme or agenda that we present as a topic, so to speak. If you've been following the series, you know that it's just a very organic flow that comes up in terms of we start a discussion and then see where the chakra experience takes us. So the whole objective, is for you to experience your chakras anew. So Brenda, Lynn, of course, thank you again for being here.
Always enjoy these. Always love being in your presence, AliNICOLE. So,
Oh, thank you. And the feeling is doubly mutual. I definitely enjoy being in your presence, and it's phenomenal how there's strength in numbers and strength in alignment. And when we come together to have these unique experiences, because that's what they are, and the things that arise out of the conversation, it just creates a new experience each and every time.
it surprises me each and every time.
Yes.
Because we don't have it planned. And
No,
what shows up for me is just sometimes just kind of blows me out of the water. It always surprises me and intrigues me. So
Absolutely. And again, for me, it is the same. And that's the benefit even of us doing the facilitation and being able to provide value for others, that we ourselves are being enriched even more as well, because we're all on this unique exploration and journey together, even though we're having our individual experiences. So there was something that started bubbling up for me in terms of something that we could talk about. But before I actually introduce what that is that I mentioned before we started, is that you're looking all crown chakra ready today. You know,
my purple.
yes, that that purple. And so it's interesting because what's coming up now is in terms of new focuses for embodiment. And so maybe during this time that wisdom from the crown chakra wants to be embodied anew and expanded. So let's, we'll see. But something that was emerging for me was in terms of being your own wishing well and using the energy body as that gateway, and allowing some chakra to be that kind of wishing well experience, because we know when it comes to wells, it's depth, and that's where you can draw the wellspring, the water that you pull from, you draw from a well, so to speak. It's depth water. And what's really calling forth from people is there needs to be more depth in terms of what wants to expand. There's so much focus on higher self and different things like that. And that's great. But we need both the breadth and the depth, right? We need the height, and that we need it all. So sometimes you need to draw a little bit deeper within yourself so that you actually can understand the higher expansion that that you've already been underway with, but maybe not making a lot of sense of it. So the depth will come, but sometimes it starts with something simple like a wish, right?
Absolutely. And, like I see them, and I guess it's just that I've been doing this work forever, but I see them both as, two sides of the same coin. Like
they are,
when I talk about my higher self, it really is coming from deep, deep within me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, in our physical reality here, we are just not even scratching the surface
right,
of who we are. Like we, as beings here, are so, the depth that we can go to, we couldn't explore in this lifetime. The depth. So revealing, it's like an excavation project. And
yes, that is,
I talk about taking people on an expedition to excavate
right,
another level of who they are, and going through that. And that's what I see this work with the chakras is just going deeper and deeper and deeper into the potential of each one of those gateways.
Absolutely. It's new heights and new depths. And that's
Yeah.
actually a work of mine in terms of just the expansion. And so something that I focus a lot on, and you know this is the expanded self-awareness in terms of not just the higher self, but it's the expansive self because it cohesively covers holistically just the embodiment of our experience. And that may be why even with the crown chakra energy that's coming up, and I said in terms of something's calling forth for a new embodiment. And
Absolutely.
that is what we are bringing forth from the well of who we are, the depth of who we are, which then gives more clarity and illumination to the heightened self, the higher expanded
You know,
context.
the
Yeah.
visual, I've got to share this with you.
Yes, yes,
The
great.
image
Yeah.
that just popped into my mind was a trampoline. So you know that
Yes, yes,
the lower you go on the trampoline,
yes.
the higher you go when it comes back
Mm.
up.
Mhm.
And so it really is about taking that big deep dive so that you
Yes,
can
yes.
bring up into new dimensions that new elevations that you've never
Yeah.
visited before. So that's
Oh, that
funny
just gave
little. I get these images. This is what I say. I become very visual, which
yeah,
is not where I was when I started this work. But
yeah.
I will get these images just given to me just to add that new depth of clarity
Mm,
to what we're
mhm.
talking about, because people can relate. Certainly, I can relate to a picture. Like a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we talked about
Yeah,
that
right.
in our third
Mhm.
eye adventure
Yeah,
that we
right.
took people on. But it really is true. It says so much in one little image that pops in. So
Mm, that is so rich. Yes. It is. Yes. And so, so today in just being in the space with that, it's just it feels so amazing. And being in kind of that wishful energy and being able to, when you think about making a wish and a wishing well, normally there's a coin, of course, that's tossed in. And so we can look at that as almost, I don't say releasing a certain level of our values so that we can get back and higher expansion of it or higher awareness around our valuable self, so to speak. Um, so we'll see how that kind of just plays out in terms of we go deep, and as you mentioned, the trampoline. So we go deep so that we can do what? Spring up, right? So
yeah,
let's go
absolutely.
like into the well of ourselves, and then let's see what springs up. So are you game to be in the demonstration seat
I
again?
always that's my most exciting part of this. But I will say,
Mhm,
when you go to a wishing well and you throw the coin in,
mhm.
you're giving something,
Of
and then
value.
what you
Mhm.
receive is exponentially greater than what
Right.
you give. But that's the way I want people to approach this is,
Yeah.
they're giving up something that
Mhm.
they're attached to, some belief system, some confined image of who they are, whatever that is. You're giving something in order to expand exponentially into something even greater than what you're giving. So that just came to
Absolutely.
me. So
That did, yeah. So let's do this. Let's actually play around. And people can do this individually aside from here in terms of any chakra that calls them to want to explore. But during this particular segment, let's actually play around with the crown since you are so um,
just for it.
royally graced in you know, in
Yeah.
the
Even my
purple.
necklace is purple.
Absolutely. So let's actually, the other segment we were in the third eye. In this particular one, let's experience the chakras anew in terms of the crown chakra being that, that wishing well. So
Okay.
I'm going to invite everyone. Let's take 7 deep belly conscious belly breaths, I should say. So let's begin.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone just be settled just for a moment, because we've taken 7 deep breaths here. And before making your wish, so to speak, just imagine that within you is a well, and that could take on a different shape and form, so to speak, but it really just represents the depth. And if you can imagine that in some shade of purple, which will represent your crown chakra energy, right? And so as you get sort of an image of that in your mind's eye, then feel what is ready to be tossed into that well, as a wish, but maybe as something that's just coming up anyway, that is ready to go into that well, right? And Brenda, Lynn, when you get a sense of that, you can communicate what that is, and we'll play from there.
Let me preface this by, this is not my doing. The stuff that shows up, I have no control over.
Yes.
So just let me just say that to start.
Yes, right.
What I saw was a mermaid.
Oh, yes. Oh, of course. Yes.
Diving deep, deep down into that well.
Mm-hmm.
What that represents, I'd have to sit with it for a bit.
Yes, right. Okay, so great. So I love that. And you already know how I am about that. The water element and everything. So yeah, so being with that, because mermaids represent, in terms of, and not from a esoterical or woozy type of thing, just in terms of just metaphorically, it's almost like, you think about frogs, they are able to navigate water and land, right?
Right.
And so being able to be sort of a transitionary energy in being, where you are able to transform or evolve yourself into some form to go into that world, but come out to be another form to go into another world. So if
they're a hybrid, like I see them as a hybrid.
Absolutely.
That part human, part fish, but that hybrid between species. And
yes.
Yeah. So fitting, like you said, fitting into multiple different dimensions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the way you stated that. And so on that awareness of the hybrid aspect is, for anyone who actually can fill into that, is, so what does that mean for you right now? What is the wish that's coming forth? Is there something that wants to be more hybrid in your experience? So Brenda Lynn, you can sit and play with that. What is it, the crown chakra awareness revealing in terms of something depth for that? What did you dive
initially that what has come through as I sat with it is the letting go of my image of self of being one fixed thing.
Yes.
And allowing myself to shapeshift, into anything that fits in any realm that I go to in these visualizations, in these adventures and expeditions that we're taking through this, the Chakras Anew, is I know that I can morph myself to fit into anything that shows up.
Into anything, right? And so on that awareness, of course, I'm going to have to talk a little bit about this, because that actually is my anatomy format in terms of the shape shifting and the context of me being very cross-functional, is being able to morph in. And if you know anything, those who may not be as familiar with my branding, is the ability to morph into these different formats and even different dimensions, of myself that play out in multiple levels. And so Brenda Lynn, which happens to be one of my celebritypreneur proteges too, she's very multidimensional in terms of her leadership, in terms of her expansive abilities. And so actually it's interesting, because right now more of that is coming out in terms of her flexibility and capabilities, within that, even not just with the chakras, so to speak. The chakras are just providing the wisdom or the crown at this point, but it's in all of these different levels So that's a great area for us to really play in terms of being in the wishing well energy is that sometimes, Brenda Lynn, what happens is people are afraid to be more of themselves because they are confined to actually playing it safe to fit into worlds where they think they'll be accepted, where it really is the time to step beyond that and actually allow that wish to come forth, because people actually do wish to be more than what they are, even if they're scared to do it.
Absolutely. Especially as the world is changing so dramatically on us almost every day.
Right.
The old self doesn't fit into that. This is why people are feeling so discombobulated, so uncomfortable right now, like they don't fit in anywhere, is because they're still anchored to some of that old imagery, that old energy.
Right.
And the work that we're doing with them is to cut those anchors, to release them, and just let themselves elevate into whatever shows up for them.
Absolutely. Oh, that just,
I know that they fit in. They will fit in. This is the mermaid. They will fit in wherever they land. They will fit in. They will be accepted. They will be loved. Like, that's the environment that they're going into. Everybody loves a mermaid.
Absolutely. Right. And what it is the ability to fully be you and to be true. And so the thing about it is more people would like to be that, haven't given themselves permission to do that. But when they can see demonstrations of individuals doing it, whether it's metaphorically or just however, then it gives them an example that they can either take part in that in terms of playing that out in their own authenticity, or they can shrink back and shy away from it. And sometimes people who actually are being themselves get met with some criticism in terms of being different. But the thing about it is,
that's been my life, I'll tell you.
Yeah, same here.
I take that as a badge of honor now. When people say, you're so weird, I go, thank you. Thank you.
It's a compliment.
Badge of honor.
Yeah, exactly. And what it is it is the courageousness to be true, right?
Absolutely.
But
and you know what? At our true depth, at the authentic depth of who we are lovable by everyone. Like, we are lovable. That is just the essence of who we are as human beings. It's all the cloaks and the costumes that we put on that detract from that. And when you can get down to that authentic self, the authenticity of your truth, regardless of where you go, you are going to attract those energies of love to you, love and acceptance everywhere that you go. So this dispels the fear of, what if I go someplace and I don't fit in? Or what if I go someplace and I don't like it? It dispels that. That's not even a possibility in this realm. You will be loved wherever you go.
Right. And the key thing, the reason why you will be loved wherever you go is because you are wherever you go. And if you love yourself, right? And that what's coming up now is the embodiment. I talked about embracing a new embodiment, so to speak, in terms of even the crown chakra, is really embracing that you are, of course, we know you take yourself wherever you go, but you are the place that you go. You are, you fit into you because you are what's in motion. You are what is being expressed here. And so it's not
take
about
that love energy with you wherever you go.
Absolutely. You can't help that because it is the embodiment of you. Go ahead, say it again.
I just echoed what you said, because this is you. It's part of you.
Yes.
I like your word, the embodiment of you.
Yes, it is. That's and that's the highest form of expression, because it allows you to express the truth of this evolutionary aspect of yourself at each time and each phase, and that does morph. It takes on very different contexts as it needs to, but we no longer have to be focused on, am I going to fit in? It is that you take yourself into whatever experience as the experience, and then whomever is supposed to be there, they then come to that experience they find resonance or so, and then they come. So you never have to worry about fitting in, because you are the,
You are the experience. Yeah.
you're absolutely, you are the experience. There's 5 different vibrations that I show up in, but 3 primary that I used to really use heavily when I tell individuals. I show up as a statement, an expression, and an experience. All right.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so,
Wow. So it fits in right in here. Yeah.
yeah, yes, right. So you are a statement, and in some regards, I'm always going to have some statement of, when my name is called, there's something following it. There's something that means that's the functionality that I'm in at that time. And then there is the expression, what is coming forth from my beingness at that time. And then there's the experience, which represents the encounter in terms of what is going to be taking place. We all have that unique ability to be the full embodiment of ourselves as a statement, an expression, and an experience, which produces a new encounter each and every time. So the crown chakra energy, in terms of a wishing well, is like, this is the wish. This is like the deep, this is what's crying out from the deep, that calls out to deep within individuals, is that you wish to be more than what you truly are. You wish to be something and someone that doesn't have to be confined to rules and regulations, to you have to be this way, you have to do this. You really want to be the fullness of yourself, to morph and change anytime that your experience calls for it.
And that's back to the freedom that we talked about in the third eye chakra. That
right.
Concept that came through for me was freedom. Like, what am I looking for? And it's freedom. It's freedom to be.
Absolutely. To be the fullest expression of you.
And this just takes it to the next level.
It does, because there's always the now and next level of it, the expansiveness of it. So let's play a little bit more just with being back, I would say, inside the wishing well. And something that's coming up now in terms of the crown chakra is being settled in the wish fulfilled. So everyone, take a nice deep breath, please. All right, so Brenda, Lynn, I'm going to play around with you, and of course this is for everyone else too, is settling into that wish fulfill, meaning at this point you are all of what you need to be and wish to be at this phase. And as you are, if you want to say, drawing yourself up, or someone's drawing you out, drawing out from your depth, and you're coming up into this new heightened awareness of yourself, I mean, you're coming out of the well. What is the chakra, the crown chakra energy, revealing to you in terms of that wish that's fulfilled? What has been embodied that you are now bringing to the world?
The image that presented immediately was me sitting in the coins at the bottom of the wishing well, like all of the abundance, the gold and the silver and the precious metals that were just sparkling down there. And that's the first image that presented, was me just sitting amongst this abundant flow of anything that I could ever desire, is what that represented to me. And then as I came up out of the well, I brought that all up with me.
Oh, isn't that magnificent? Oh,
like it was, like,
oh, that value to bring to the world, right?
Yeah.
So
it is that, that every one of those coins to me represented a different aspect of me, a different aspect of the abundance that I am, and that I carry with me.
Absolutely.
And so when that came up with me, it just propelled this concept that we talked about of being anything that you choose to be, and it's all available to you. And that was really powerful for me.
Oh, absolutely. And great. Oh, that just warmed me up all over. Yeah.
It was a nice thing.
Yes. So with that awareness, there's some expanded awareness that is, I can sense it's an expanded awareness, next level comprehension that wants to come out. So just give me a moment. It's almost like I can feel the what's come up, with you, from that experience. So just imagine that whole entire experience as you were coming up. See it all through the color purple. See it all through the color purple, and see what wisdom arises as more comes to you.
Again, this is pre-verbal for me, so everything presents in images for me.
Yes.
So let me just say that. But as I saw myself rising up out of the well, I turned into this beautiful tree, huge tree with branches and leaves, and every one of those. I did a meditation for the first chakra. Where I went out into the tree and I sat in the different branches and looked at all of the abundance of leaves around me. Every one of those branches, every leaf presented a different opportunity, a different aspect of me. So that's what I saw, is like growing into that multi-dimensional aspect of who I am, and really accepting that, this leaf isn't better than this leaf, or this bloom isn't better than that bloom, or this branch. They just fit me at a different point in time.
Yes, right.
And they will call to me as I was going up. It was like, hey, come and sit here, or hey, come and sit over here. And I knew, you will know which one of those branches feels right for you to go and follow at that point in time. So
right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my entire life there,
Yeah, exactly. So I hope this is answering your questions. I don't know.
it did, yeah. No, it was perfect.
When the image comes to me, I go, how does that fit with her question? I don't know. So I just
there's
figure it
no
out.
wrong. Yeah, there's no, as you know, there's really no wrong answer, because remember, it's individual. And the thing about it is when you're experiencing the chakras anew and you're experiencing life anew, it's rarely going to be something that's linear, so to speak. It always is an exploration. And as we talked in the last segment, in terms of the adventure that is presented. And so some people will get things in terms of like a smell, or they'll get a sense of something, or it will be the imagery, or a song, a few lyrics or so keep playing
Sound,
over and over. Yeah.
Just a feeling,
So it's
just a kinesthetic feeling in your body will present as information. I just happen to have become very visual.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it works, for individuals. And so the whole thing about embodying the wish fulfilled. And so something that I want to invite others as they were having their own experience is that, within that wish fulfill, and what was coming up for you as you were coming out of the well, and then being able to take that expanded awareness and see it through the color purple. But what's actually coming up now is actually to have kind of a translucent experience with that. And Brenda, Lynn, you can as well, is to be within what came up and have it be in kind of a translucent or kind of a white light energy, and see what expanded awareness, or if there's a feeling or so, there's some next level comprehension there. So I invite everyone to be, just with that.
What I saw when you say translucent, I saw it as a cloud almost that just kind of went poof and disappeared on me, and something different emerged.
Yes, exactly.
So
and those
it was
experiences.
Like, where'd it go?
It's
and
right.
then something different emerged from that. That was,
and
again,
that's
I hard to describe what it was, because it didn't really, I didn't give it time to really formulate to where I could
was
put
perfect
around it.
That was perfect.
But
Let me speak to that really quick, because that was the whole concept, or context, I should say, is that's what we have to be aware of too, is that when certain things come and they form, and you've heard me talk about this throughout the years as it relates to certain things, is that it's no longer about putting a fixed frame anymore around different experiences. It's allowing experiences to happen, milk them for what they are, because then they can, like vapors, sort of just vanish, and then the next thing is ready for you. And so what it is that there's wisdom to gain from different experiences, but you don't necessarily have to hold on to those, and you can move right into the next, because it's like it's connecting the dots in a, not in a literal way in a sense, but it's more in an awareness way. That's where the next level of comprehension comes in, for you to then understand why you actually don't need to let the cloud form, of course, and see it. Oh, there's a cloud. Maybe there could have been something there. Boom, it's gone. And now the next thing, and keep building on there. And you'll find your own uniqueness in terms of what that means for you.
Absolutely. And there's such joy for me, and I presume for other people, but there's such joy in being in one world, and then poof, now I'm in another world, and just sitting in that energy of excitement and intrigue. What is this going to become, and what's it going to bring to me? And then sometimes that's all that comes, and now poof, that one's gone, and I'm someplace else, but just flowing with it is and not attaching to, boy, here's this experience, now here's what lesson do I have to take out of this? Because maybe the lesson is that there's no lesson.
Exactly. Maybe it's just enjoy the moment. It's
enjoy the moment. Yeah.
Like if you got presented with, when you go to like a restaurant and then you order, let's say dessert or so, and then you, okay, you're going to enjoy that. It's not necessarily in terms of, oh, I wonder what the lesson is, and why did I get chocolate cake today? It's
exactly.
Like you don't have to overanalyze it. And I think that that's what happens, where people actually get trapped even in their journeys, is that we've been conditioned to think that life is full of lessons, so to speak. And even though life is like a university for sure, but we also have to understand, it's like when you enroll in college, you're enrolling in something that you're like, hey, I decided this, right? And I decided that I want to learn more about that. And so the learning lessons come in more of a choice form than it is just constantly, oh, let me be here and being presented with this. I got to figure this out. No, because you might miss just the enjoyment of the experience if you're trying to analyze it, because that gets left brain too, right?
Absolutely. And I can attest to that.
Me too.
My career, I spent 20 plus years in corporate finance, and risk management and all of that. That was very, very left brain. And there was always a structure. And there was you knew exactly when you took a course, this is what I need to learn from this. And so I'm a testament to, it's possible to actually shift from left brain structure into the right brain freedom. I've done it. It took me, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I think that in the accelerated energy of today, what took me 20 years, or 15 years, I've been very visual for, let's say, 5 years, but what took me so long to get there can happen almost instantly in this new energy.
Right. And that's the thing, is you quantify through an evolutionary leap in this type of wisdom, right? And that's what you want to do. And that's different from a quantum leap, which that's a whole nother teaching that I do. But you really want to be evolutionary leaping to put yourself right exactly where you're supposed to be, and not shifting into something that you're not actually ready for the experience. And so when we go deep within ourselves, we bring up that expanded awareness from that depth, and then it helps you to kind of now create life anew on, if you want to call it, on the surface, but you're living from the new heights and the new depths, like all the time, right?
And the other thing I'll say is, when I was doing courses like that, through my extensive career, I had an expectation of what I was going to take out of that course. And as the energy as we've told people about the energy, that was what I got out of that course. That was all I got out of that course. When you can get into this free flow of not having expectations, not even knowing what is going to come, the possibilities and the opportunities expand in ways that, again, are just beyond imagination. You
Yes,
can't
yes.
possibly put a structure around them. And therefore, if you go in without expectations, you're always surprised. And I'm always thrilled by what shows up. Even if it's a minute little lesson, or if there's no lesson at all, that's a lesson in itself. But being out of that world of expecting a certain outcome and allowing it to just flow and transmute and evolve in wild and wonderful ways.
Wild and wonderful ways. I love that.
There's just such freedom in that and such joy. A joy that comes from the depth. It's not a happy, but that joy that comes from the depth of the soul and just resonates with you for on and on and on.
Absolutely. That's the eternal gift that keeps on giving, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that was powerful. Brenda, Lynn, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It felt good. It felt good to share that.
Great, great. Well, without getting into anything else deep and extensive and expansive, so to speak, I think that that's a great way to allow people to experience and embody anew, in a sense, the crown chakra, and to allow that wisdom to be that wishing well wisdom that comes up, but then being able to go beyond what we've done today and be able to do this with each of your chakras, right?
Yeah.
And be able to have that wishing well experience, because what you'll find is that each particular chakra will draw something different from you. There will be different depths within those wells. So where today, entering in terms of doing the form and shape shifting, so to speak, you may have that the root chakra calls on something else that is drawn, out of you. Each one may have something else that you're tossing in, and then having that experience. So that's the if you want to call it call to action, the invitation to implementation is to be able to be present, with each of those. So, Brenda, Lynn, before we close out and have some words of empowerment, so your takeaway from that, even though you shared a lot, your takeaway from that experience, or anything else you want to, empower others with as it relates to that?
I think when you're doing this for yourself, just allow yourself to be in that energy of curiosity and intrigue.
Yeah.
That's what's going to open gateways to new dimensions for you, is just sitting in curiosity. That would be my one piece of advice, is take this on at every level of the chakras, and sit in curiosity and intrigue.
Nice. Yes, absolutely. And that's the best way to be detached, if you will, from what you mentioned in terms of the expectations. It's just be in it for the intriguement, and allow that to be just the experience that you have, without having to actually define it in terms of it's going to be, this way, so to speak. This makes it lighter, right?
It does, and much more fun.
Yes, exactly. So that was great. And your purple third eye energy, like I said, it definitely was the jump off for this particular segment in terms of what was brewing in me with the wishing well. So it gave us the premise in terms of where to go today. So that was perfect.
Perfect.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, of course, again, for us doing this together, and you being able to share your experience of entering into those different spaces, with you, with us, so to speak. It's been just phenomenal. So, So with
thank you for your brilliant guidance through that. I feel so honored being the demonstrator of this, because it is an experience for me. Like, it's authentically taking me through this experience, and I get something out of this at every time that we do them. So thank you for adding your brilliance to it.
Well, thank you. And I am expanded and enhanced consistently as this is happening, because I'm over here having my own experience too, as it's taking place. And it's just wonderful how we do this together, and provide this, for others. And again, we too are allowing our journeys to continuously be enriched, because even though we facilitate, we have the depth of knowledge in terms of this expansiveness. But as you can see, we're just very organic in the moment to let the moment shift it, and to allow ourselves to be having the experience too, to see
And
what
I will note
comes.
for people that I come into these calls without a clue what you're going to do.
It's same here, right?
Yeah, I know, yeah. But I have no idea what direction we're going in when I sign on to the call. So this is a very, very organic experience for me.
Yes. And it's the best way to have it. I tell people it's so good to just be prepared for the moment. And a lot of times we spend time in life trying to prepare for things, in which I believe that if you do prepare, if you don't, you can, what's the saying? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. But we need to kind of redefine that in terms of, but you be ready for it all, because sometimes people think that, okay, well, I'm ready for this. If I need to be called on to speak for this, I can do it. And we can fall into all those different roles, but can you be ready for what the moment will present to you? Just as it relates to
Authentically and organically
absolutely
responding to,
yeah. Can you be
that's
ready for the chakras to present to
skill
you?
set. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Thank you so much, AliNICOLE. We will
Thank
sign
you.
off for today and look forward to the next experience.
Absolutely.